Oh, more documents gonna dump by Kash Patel on the Obama/Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Russia collusion hoax. Someone's going to jail. Probably not Barack Obama. I'll explain why. Welcome to Doug In Exile. Shout out to the Quad Club. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Okay. Now, this whole conspiracy, and it is a conspiracy, it's detailed, not complicated. Okay, it's widespread. It's so widespread, there's a lot of moving parts. But don't get intimidated by it. I'm going to keep going over this every day, this show. If you guys are tired of this stuff, you're going to see at least one show a day dedicated to this ongoing, the biggest scandal in American history. That's why it's more important than any other news item that I could bring you. It would be irresponsible for me to not do. If I'm doing 4 videos a day, it's irresponsible for me to not give you an update on this every day. So subscribe. I'll keep you updated on it. Not all the videos are going to have this many talking points on them, but I'm going to go as fast as I can through these so that we sculpt kind of what this story looks like right now. Here's Byron York, one of my favorite, most respected guys. He's a political correspondent for the Washington Examiner. I've been following him forever. It's good to point this out to the New York, about this New York Times article out. This weekend, New York Times, they're trying hard to debunk the latest Durham investigation news. The Durham report was what Trump sent to sic on and look at the Hillary Clinton emails. But the best way to approach this is to focus on what we know Hillary Clinton actually did. We're going to say it very simply. Say it this way. Clinton and her campaign accused Trump of collusion and then fed false and or misleading information relating to that accusation to the FBI, after which it became the subject of alarmist reporting in the press. These are indisputably true. There's a lot of different ways to say that, and we are going to say that a lot of different ways, including this one. Look, here's Byron York again with a point-by-point breakdown of what happened. 5 points about Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Russia, and the 2016 campaign. By April of 2016, remember, this is the first time Trump got elected. That was the election running up to the election. The Clinton campaign already had a contractor, Christopher Steele. So they hired the English spy to create the fake P-tape story and all that, working on developing damaging information on Trump and Russia. By July of 2024, let's see, that's April, May, June, July, that's 4 months, the campaign was publicly raising the charge of Trump-Russia collusion, and the New York Times fake news reported the topic was, quote, emerging as a theme of Miss Clinton's campaign, unquote. Also that July, Steele contacted an FBI agent, and you know that he could just find some Democrat FBI agent, and requested an urgent meeting, according to the Durham report. There, Steele gave the FBI one of his first reports. It alleged famously that, quote, Russian authorities had been cultivating and supporting U.S. Republican president candidate Donald Trump for at least 5 years. That was all made up in a lie. So this Steele dossier, Steele begins contacting the FBI, and he's paid for by the Clinton Foundation. An operation that was, quote, both supported and directed by Russian President Vladimir Putin was the claim, right, of Steele. It also alleged infamously that Russian spy cameras had recorded Trump's perverted conduct in Moscow, including employing a number of prostitutes to perform a golden showers urination show in front of him. Now, this goes against all common sense fact, right? Trump is a famous germaphobe. He would not want us to have prostitutes peeing on his bed. Huge germaphobe, number one. Number two, if they had video, which this claim they had spy cameras recording Trump by Russia, if that were true, this would have been released by Hillary Clinton into the populace, and Trump would have lost the election, okay? So we all know that's false. Okay, after July, Steele worked hard to funnel his anti-Trump material into the media for journalists, The dossier's unsupported gossip would be legitimized by the fact that the FBI was investigating it. So this is what, when Adam Schiff would go out and go, we have actionable intelligence that is being investigated right now by the FBI. You know what I mean? That's how they put it out there to make it look legitimate. Let's move on to the next factoid here. Well, here's more. More is coming out. This is at the Gateway Pundit. Director Ratcliffe and FBI Director Kash Patel set to release more damning documents proving the FBI covered up Clinton's collusion host while amplifying the Steele dossier. That's Director John Ratcliffe working for Trump. Here's more. This is over at the Federalist, who are good buddies of ours. Brennan and Clapper don't have a statute of limitations defense because they're continuing the conspiracy. Now, I just want you to notice, this does not say that Barack Obama or even Hillary, because they're only going after, I think these two are the easiest to get. And we'll go into even the claims I've heard from many of you. Biden, you know, it's seditious conspiracy and treason. And so there's no statute of limitations and there's no immunity. Okay, we'll get into that. Let's just read a little bit of this article. John Brennan and James Clapper are known liars and are digging themselves into an even deeper hole. White House spokesman Davis Ingle told the Federalist, there is a lot to talk about whether former Central Intelligence Agency, CIA Director John Brennan, or the DNI, Department of National Intelligence, James Clapper, are protected by a statute of limitations in their roles fabricating the Russia hoax. But the current CIA Director, John Ratcliffe, pointed out, quote, the statute of limitations doesn't start to run until the last act in the furtherance of that conspiracy. And that these two Russia hoaxsters just started the clock on July 30th of last year when they decided to pen an op-ed in the New York Times filled with even more lies and an apparent cover-up. So we have 5 years, I believe, from July 30th. Okay, that's just the timeline. Now, the reason why I'm commenting on this timeline now is because the right wing, MAGA, has their own intelligence people floating this out, telling you what this is the strategy they're going to go with. They're going to say it doesn't stop yet. Now, wait, here's more on what is a pannikin. Trump uses the word pannikin in this, I believe it's a Breitbart interview.
Word pannikins, right? Like no pannikins. Can you define pannikins for us? What is a pannikin? And why should we not follow that?
Well, in some cases, they're good people that really have the best and they want to do things, but.
Okay, so this is a definition of pannikins, which they started calling Thomas Massey and Rand Paul, that they're pannikins. They're terrified of not paying down the debt. You're a pannikin. It kind of came to the fiscal conservatives, but morally liberal or not into social programs, social issues at all. Just the fiscal conservatives, kind of the more Ayn Randian, libertarian, atheist types, which is Rand Paul, literally named after Ayn Rand, and the Thomas Masseys. They're called pannikins.
I call them pannikins because maybe they're not smart.
And now the pannikins have been focusing on the Epstein list, and Trump wants us to stay focused on his work on the borders and on the Obama treason, Hillary Clinton treason story, which is we really need to do to fix America.
Because they're playing right into the enemy's camp. And in other cases, they really are people that panic. They can't handle pressure. And, both are sort of dangerous.
They panic and they can't handle pressure. Guys, this is why I always tell you, don't panic. I'm being full MAGA. I'm actually quoting the scripture that despair is a sin. It shows that we have a lack of confidence in God. When we go like, Jesus, you're asleep in the boat and there's a storm outside. They're like, where's God? And Jesus going like, don't you know who I am? And God says, like, don't you know I'm in control? That's why I'm saying I do not promote fear-mongering conspiracy theories because they get your blood pressure up and they make you hysterical. I'm trying to talk you down from that ledge and go, guys, there's good news. Trump has a plan. Let's follow the plan instead of panicking and tearing your hair out and going, they're hiding UFOs and the Jews are in control of everything. They're coming to get us. and there's no arrest. The deep state is so terrible that America is over. No, we don't do that. Panicins. Some are bad, some are principled. Here's now, speaking of terrified on the Russia collusion host, we're going to do the wrong answers only over here on MSNBC with our favorite, very slow special needs news team, Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski.
To believe Donald Trump's version of this event.
Yeah, but I agree, Mika, with what Kenny said. Like, why keep going back to it? Why keep muddying the water when you have Marco Rubio in the Senate Intel Committee, your own Secretary of State, saying Paul Manafort in the 2016 Trump campaign posed a, quote, grave counterintelligence threat to the United States of America.
You're trying to blame Marco Rubio, which, by the way, Marco Rubio was fine at slapping Trump around with being too chummy with Russia back in 2016 when he was running for president. This is what you do when you run for president. You try and take the other guy out. You cut the gloves off. I mean, what Trump said about DeSantis and what Trump has said about Marco Rubio, what Trump has said at calling Ted Cruz's wife ugly. I mean, you do some bad stuff to win. And now MSNBC is going back there as if Marco Rubio would still say that now.
John Durham admitting that there wasn't a Clinton conspiracy, that actually...
that's not what John Durham said, you moron.
The two emails at the heart of that, even though he spent the entire report trying to prove this, in the annex, he hides it in the annex. And, well, yeah, the two key emails were actually most likely products of Russian disinformation.
That's what they're going with this last week. Is it the two emails from Hillary and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the whole thing that looked like they were trying to pin it on Trump and to create this conspiracy against Trump? That's what Joe Scarborough is saying was created by Russian assets and inserted into the documents. He's saying that's a conspiracy, which is false. We have no proof that Russia was the one that was calling the shots. It was Hillary Clinton.
Like, move on. Get past it. The only people...
Now, I only want to tell, now this is going into the panicins and on the left. Okay, there's people that are in my chat all the time. You guys are in love with Epstein. They're going like, Doug, you just don't want to follow the Epstein thing. And who's saying to move on from the Barack Obama story and get off this story and move on? Why is MSNBC, these two losers, these two fake journalists, fake news, non-news, wrong about everything, only 15 people watch them. Why are they saying, move on from Obama? That's why we're doing this show, because the Democrat Party's plan is to move on, and they're spending tons of money pushing the Epstein story, still in media. I'm going to prove it in this episode. You'll see it, but let's keep hearing from our wise counsel of these two empty-headed. This was called journalism just 6 months ago, guys. Now they're done.
People talking about Russia right now are Tulsi Gabbard and others to try to distract from other things. It's not a winner for Donald Trump. It's not a winner for John Durham. It's not a winner for people in that. I mean,
it's not a winner for Trump to stay on the Obama and the treason thing. I just want to let my audience know, when was Joe Scarborough ever right once about Trump? When was he ever looking out for the benefit of the MAGA movement or even America? When has Joe Scarborough, these two rich, white elitists who cheated on their spouses and married each other and have only lied to you every moment about Biden's health and about Trump? He's a fake Republican, claims to be a Republican. This guy, there's nothing Republican, no love of the Republic about him at all. These two are the worst example in the museum of fake news. They are the poster child at the front. When has he ever been right about anything?
Look at Donald Trump. He is president in large part, whether you agreed with the charges or not. He's president in large part, and he will say it himself, because he sat at a defendant's table throughout the summer of his political campaign. This does not work politically. It always ends up blowing up politically in the face of the people who are going after the other side. That's why Tom Cotton's saying, the Hatch Act, seriously, give us some facts here. The Hatch Act?
Yeah.
That's all you got? It's just a...
This is the worst news coverage I think I've ever seen in my life. I have a good audience, And I love you guys. You guys you're a blast. But this guy, I'm kind of, intimidated by some news people. Maybe over at Fox, they can read a cue card better than I can. And I'm just a guy. I take my shower, I eat my food, I have really bad lighting, really bad camera. I do my best with my performance, but I blow these people out of the water. I'm freaking Walter Cronkite compared to these two. And I'm a barely literate comic book artist, okay? I am old school compared to them. These guys that is just some terrible product. Speaking of terrible product, this is about attacking the legacy guys. Watch this. We're going to get back to more of that stuff, but here's C3 under the silver alert. This is Woodward on the left, the guy that broke, he's supposed to be deep throat in the Nixon impeachment thing on the guy that blew the whistle on Nixon. And now they have zero interest in exposing the greatest conspiracy in American history. Two elderly men that claim every fake scandal President Trump is accused of is, quote, worse than Watergate, unquote. They say Trump is worse than Watergate, but are now missing for Russiagate, the biggest political scandal in history. That is true. Now here's Mark Hemingway. This is Molly Hemingway's wonderful husband. Bernstein is not exactly missing. He's complicit. That's the guy on the right. He's complicit in lying about Trump. He's worse than Nixon. He was one of the 4 bylines on CNN's infamous story about the existence of the Steele dossier. He's one of 4 guys doing the fake news back then, which they reported on without bothering to verify the obviously fake document. These two are formal conspirators claiming to be award-winning journalists. And boy, are those times over. Wait, here's more on Fox News on Russiagate with Guy P. Benson. In much of the media, it's been met with almost total crickets, scoffing and ignoring. So I'm telling you about what the media does with it and why we have to stay focused.
Let's get back to what Senator Grassley said. This release of this information we haven't seen before. He said, based on the Durham Annex, the Obama FBI failed to adequately review and investigate intelligence reports showing the Clinton campaign may have been ginning up fake Trump-Russia narrative for Clinton's political gain, which was ultimately done through the Steele dossier and other means. Guy, did you see new things in this release this week?
Yeah, some of it is just reinforcing and fortifying elements of this scandal that we already knew about. But given a number of the disclosures in the new documents, the suggestion that perhaps there was an understanding that the FBI would be involved before they even launched their investigation into this, it has certainly sparked a discussion almost exclusively on the political right.
That's Guy P. Benson, Fox News, young, gay journalist. He used to be Steven Crowder's roommate. And Steven Crowder said he was tired of coming home and hearing guys going back and forth into Guy P. Benson's room and their belt buckles would hit the floor. Gross! It's okay, Fox. I'm a very tolerant person. And Guy P. Benson tells the truth, which makes him better than most news people. He just gives simple facts.
Right, there's this debate going on. Is this criminal? Should we see indictments out of this? Or is this just an example of scandalous, deep, dirty tricks on the Democratic side of the aisle? That's a discussion happening on the right. On the left, and certainly in much of the media, it has been met with almost totally crickets, like sort of scoffing, dismissing, ignoring.
Thank you, Guy P. Benson. What he's saying is an excellent observation. What he sees is nothing from the Democrat news. They are not covering, that's what I mean by nothing. He's going, there's crickets. They're not covering the Barack Obama thing, guys. The Democrats are terrified of this story. They want to talk about any other scandal or story. They're going, literally, we'll do anything. We'll even talk about President Trump's positive economic numbers if we have to hold our nose and fine, they'll go, tariffs work. Let's talk about tariffs. Just don't talk about the scandal.
That has been the total lack of intellectual curiosity we've seen from many journalists in response to a story that many of the journalists, were deeply invested in themselves for years. This is now the worm turning in another direction. They seem far less interested now.
Oh yeah, they were all into it when it came out, when they promoted it. So they marketed the heck out of it when it was false. And now that they know the truth, they have no interest in that truth.
Susan, what does the media do with this? I mean, that angle of this where Guy's right. I mean, it's not really breaking through in a lot of the mainstream certain places, or it is and it's being dismissed. Is that a repeat of the mistake 4 or 5 years ago with this?
Yeah.
Independent analysts who have read the new documents, the declassified documents, say it does not prove some kind of collusion by the Hillary Clinton campaign to frame Donald Trump. In fact, it shows that the key emails.
This is Susan Page, USA Today, part of the problem. She's going, the news, they're saying it doesn't prove any. Oh, no, it is proven so hard. So this is what the mainstream is going with. You'll see her byline down there, USA Today. And I love reading USA Today. It's made to lie to gullible old people. Now, I'm 59 years old. I'm a gullible old person. But USA Today is made for us. It is like mainstream birdcage garbage that for years, back before it was politicized 40 years ago, it was an interesting rag. But now this is passive aggressive lies by USA Today.
That are often cited as evidence of that were likely cooked up by the Russians. The more fundamental question, I think, is we've had a special prosecutor appointed by Donald Trump look at this, a bipartisan investigation by the Senate Intelligence Committee chaired by Marco Rubio. They've come to other conclusions and have moved on. So why at this point are we still talking about the 2016 election, which, by the way, Donald Trump won?
So that's her point. She's saying, move on. Did you hear that? She goes, why? They've already done an investigation. Why aren't we moving on? Why are you, a journalist, completely uncurious about the new documents released? It's like, hey, we got to move on. Really? By the way, she goes, by the way, Trump won. What does that have to do with anything? Of course, Trump won in 2016. He might have won even more than just 2016, 2024. I hope he wins in 2028. Wait, there's more. Here's Stephen Miller on Maria Bartiromo.
For accountability so that we can reclaim this democracy, Maria.
Well, do you believe we will actually get accountability? We've been demanding accountability now for a decade. Our audience is well aware that this is the biggest political scandal we have ever seen, and an effort to undermine and take down a duly elected president. But now we want to see the tricksters face the consequences. Will they?
You know what she's saying? She's saying what all of you are saying. My whole audience. Where's the arrests? Where's the arrests? Here's Margie Taylor Greene. Look what she posted. She's posting, where's the arrest? Just like all of you. Watch this. Don't talk about it if you aren't going to do it. That's Margie Taylor Greene over on Twitter. Number of arrests, the Russia collusion hoax, 0. January 6th, 0. Mar-a-Lago raid, 0. Biden auto pen, 0. 2020 election, 0. Epstein pedo arrest, 0. COVID arrest, 0. Benghazi arrest, 0. Doge findings, 0. Ukraine impeachment hoax, 0. That's what Maria Bartiromo's about, going, hey, don't bring up these accusations. Now, there's a reason why there's 0, guys. I'm telling you, I've told you guys this for the last couple of weeks. Trump's only been in office a couple months, okay? It takes time. You need to line up evidence. This is not a banana republic where as soon as your guy gets into office, he goes in and just jumps all the evidence, invents a bunch of cases, and throws his opponents in prison. That's not what this is, guys. It's rule of law, really slow. There's 1,000 people to investigate, and we need like 1,000 people working on stuff, which again is why you don't waste resources on the Epstein files. It's a waste.
I have complete confidence in the Department of Justice to follow these facts, to follow this new further avalanche of evidence, and to take all the necessary legal steps to ensure that the wrongdoers, the coup plotters, the schemers, and the insurrectionists are held fully accountable.
Okay, do you believe him? Is he lying? He says, I'm going to go all the way. I'm looking all the way. That's number one. Stephen Miller. This guy's not a liar. He has the intent to do it. They can't just magically throw people in prison, guys. This isn't the Death Star.
Under the laws and Constitution of these United States.
That's what sucks, is we have to go through the laws and the Constitution of the United States. Guess what, guys? The laws and the Constitution are by design keeping us from just going and rounding people up and hanging them. So yes, we have to check off a lot more boxes if you're going to actually formally arrest people. If you're going to find them and throw charges at them. I'm with Maria Bartiromo. There's been none yet, but they're there. They're coming. Where every one of the pieces are set up in fact, I'm going to go for, I'll do the next tweet again. I'll come right back to Stephen Miller, but stay with me for just a second. Look at, here's Mike Davis. Dear lawfare Democrats, the team is finally in place. What does Mike Davis mean by that? What team? We finally have the team that's going to conduct arrests, because we have AG Pam Bondi. We have DAG Todd Blanche. We have FBI Director Kash Patel. We have Civil Rights AAG Harmeet Dillon. We have DC USA Just Approved Janine Pirro. We have SDFL USA Jason Redding Quinones. Buckle up. Justice is coming. Justice is coming. No one is above the law. Guys, it's coming. I know that we say that all the time, but it's slow. I'm sorry. I'm going to report on this for months and months and months before there's a single arrest. Get used to it. It does not, the lack of arrest only tells you Trump's only been on the job for 6 months. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I'm with you. I want to throw out the Constitution and start a banana republic and just go in with FBI, guns ablazing, arrest these people, throw them in prison. I'm with you. I have no patience. But we have a thing called the Constitution and the rule of law. You know, we're going to pretend like the people have Miranda rights.
I believe that.
We're going to read them their rights. We're going to give them a public defender. We have to go slow.
Last weekend, John Ratcliffe, CIA director, who is a former prosecutor, former DNI, told us that that the statute of limitations, the 5-year statute, does not apply when it comes to conspiracy. And he says the conspiracy is ongoing because they still won't admit it. The conspiracy is still happening. So what is your take on what Ratcliffe told us last week?
Now, that's true on Brennan and Clapper. What about Obama and Hillary on the conspiracy stuff? I'm noticing, I'm listening right now to Stephen Miller. Are we going to get Obama and Hillary, or is he just going to talk about Brennan, Clapper, and Comey and anyone lower ranked than that?
No, he's completely right. So several of the statutes I mentioned, we have not even come close to eclipsing the statute of limitations. But more than that, it is an ongoing and continuing conspiracy. It continued through the entirety of President Trump's first term. It continued through the entirety of President Biden's term in office, and it continues to this day. There are still deep state coup plotters who are trying to conceal and hide this information on behalf of the people they are protecting. There are still staffers in Democrat offices who know the full truth, who are concealing that truth. So all of this behavior, all of this conduct collectively means the conspiracy hasn't ended, is ongoing. Comey in particular has throughout the years engaged in conduct and lies, public statements, and testimony in front of Congress.
Ding, there's Comey. That's an easy one, named Comey.
False testimony, whose sole purpose was to perpetuate and continue the conspiracy. So I have every hope and expectation that the Department of Justice, under the leadership of our courageous Attorney General, will follow these facts and follow the evidence and deliver justice. Because if we have a country where we can continue to have FBI careerists and CIA careerists, deep staters, who will fabricate and doctor evidence, who will create and produce fake material, fabricated material, phony information to try to go after their political enemies, up to and including the president. If we continue to create the impression and the reality that there is not a criminal, a severe criminal penalty for such conduct, it will never stop. It will never desist. It will.
Now, that's the biggest reason why they have to absolutely get these guys. Guys, it's not for revenge. It's not because I want to see them go to jail. It's I just want the corruption to end. And it's going to continue if you do not get, and I mean get, Comey, Clapper, Brennan. That's what cleans up the FBI and the CIA. Okay, if you don't clean it up with them, if you don't punish them and make a big public show out of them, a big throw the book at them. I hold them to a higher account. To those much is given, much can be expected. That's biblical. The higher your rank, the more can be expected of you. They had the highest rank with the least amount of accountability, and they committed one of the biggest sins in American political history. So Comey, Clapper, and Brennan, you don't go after them, you don't clean up the FBI. And I say go into the Biden administration too. And you might as well get Merrick Garland and the lizard, the snake man, Alejandro Mayorkas. Now that's lowers. That does not fix the Democrat Party. Above that, Secretary of State Clinton and President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden at the time. So you're not going to clean up that because there might be some immunity. But I am noticing Stephen Miller. I want to see where's the top dog naming Obama, because I see my chat say, Doug, you're wrong. You can't. Obama doesn't have immunity. Who is naming Obama? Who? Not the chat. Which of these guys in the Trump administration is naming Obama and Clinton? I know Trump has said their names. Do we get them?
Keep on going forever. And we will continue to have a country that is sabotaged endlessly by the production of fake documents, fake material, fake.
Hey, that's the whole thing. They've manufactured it. This is the Steele dossier manufactured stuff. But wait, there's more names coming out. Just let me hit a few details real quick. Don't take off yet. I got a few more details. This is from Rasmussen Reports. The 2020 National Election Fraud Syndicate will start to come into sunlight in the next few weeks. When it does, just remember, it was jointly powered by Republicans. So here's the Republican names. There's Stephen Richer or whatever out there in Arizona. We got Glenn Barr over here. Here's Barr over here. Bill Barr. Here's Kemp. And here's Raffensperger. He said, remember when that, so more documents are coming to drop. Here's Matt Taibbi breaking a bombshell revelation. The CIA Director John Ratcliffe has confirmed that former Director John Brennan, the FBI Director James Comey, and former Director of State Hillary Clinton are likely to face indictments due to their involvement in the Russiagate scandal. That was just
people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. DNI Gabbard has made referrals, and why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make fair and just, bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Director, one other question on this. Tulsi, as well as President Trump, used the word. So what I think
used the word treason. He did not specifically name her name. Oh, now my favorite. This is our girl, Molly Hemingway. Don't go anywhere, guys. She's telling you what the left is doing. The way media are using Epstein to avoid covering Obama's complicity in the Russia hoax is very suspicious. She just called out the Democrats, and now you guys know why I've had this strategy from the very beginning, following Trump's strategy. Trump knew the Democrats were going to use Epstein to try and push the real target away from Obama, the true threat of that conspiracy, and Hillary. This is the Federalist, Molly Hemingway. This is a global power that you don't want to have lies being told about. And our media were enraged in nothing but lies on the topic for years. They won Pulitzers telling lies about Russia collusion hosts. And now they have all this news coming out about what really happened. And they were lies. There were lies. They were knowing lies. People within the government were trying to stop these lies from being pushed out to the public square. Now the media aren't really covering it at all, even though it's the most massive story, is the lies that Hillary Clinton and the FBI told to win an election. Howie Kurtz says, I would just point out that I have absolutely no doubt that the Obama administration politicized this, but there was a special counsel in the first term, John Durham, who ended up bringing the charges. We saw this already in the previous news segment. That's what the USA Today lady said. The exact same excuse. Why is Howie Kurtz and USA Today lady reading from the same line? Molly Hemingway. But your viewers should know that there have been so many documents in the last couple weeks, new documents released we've covered. Howie Kurtz, but Durham had those documents. Molly Hemingway, no, he did not investigate it as well as should have been done. And so many new documents showing, and I've broken some of the stories about this at request. People were screaming from the rooftops, quote, you can't make these false claims, unquote. That's they had FBI whistleblowers telling the other FBI whistleblowers they can't tell these lies, and they had their jobs threatened. This is the news, guys. We're covering it. I'm very proud of my news coverage. I'm very happy with it. Here's FBI Director Kash Patel. In 2017, I proved the Steele dossier was fictitious intelligence weaponized by corrupt FBI officials to deceive a federal judge and unlawfully spy on then presidential candidate Donald Trump's campaign, all paid for by his opponent. The media called me a liar. Now I'm the FBI director. We just uncovered burn bags, rooms filled with hidden Russiagate files, including the Durham Annex, and declassified them. Once again, I released the prior FBI's own documents and exposed the truth. The same media is calling me a liar again. Remember that the media is trying to run this investigation and get into your brain with a virus to get you to believe a lie. Barack Hussein Obama, he knew about the Hillary server, guys. This is going deeper than ever. Who here is ready to go all the way on this thing? Because this is not going away, guys. This is where Trump is putting his number one efforts. I don't know who the highest is going to get hit, but I would believe, I don't think you can touch Obama still. I know you guys, I know that you technically can. It's going to be very difficult. I think it'd be easy to touch Hillary Clinton. That's who I think is going to be the highest head we get out of this thing. And I mean scandal, Nixon level scandal. They jailed Chuck Colson in Nixon. They should jail Hillary Clinton. I'm Doug in Exile. Stick around and subscribe, my kids.